Thank you to everyone joining us online today. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you to Hamlin Fistula UK's first ever webinar event. I'm Helen Marriott and I'm the CEO of Hamlin Fistula UK. We're absolutely delighted to see so many of you joining us today. I think we've already got around 30 people online and the numbers are going up. So we look forward to more people logging on as we get going. I'm also really pleased to see that we've got audience members from all over the world joining us today, including from the UK and Ethiopia. So really a big warm welcome to everyone. Just a few important points before we get started. We are going to be recording today's webinar and this will be available on our website after the event. As we all know, the internet can be unreliable from time to time. We've really planned thoroughly for this, but please do bear with us if we run into any problems. We do have closed captions available. If you wish to use these, you can turn them on yourself by clicking on the CC icon on the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. I just want to mention that, as I'm sure you'll understand, that supporters of Hamlin Fistula UK, we are going to be talking about some sensitive topics today throughout our conversation, including childbirth injury and stillbirth, which sadly affects over 90% of women who have suffered a fistula. These topics are at the heart of what we do at Hamlin Fistula UK and are why we're committed to ending avoidable childbirth injuries in Ethiopia and around the world. I now just want to set the scene for our conversation today with a short 2-minute video. It's been produced by the United Nations Population Fund, who support our work in Ethiopia, and it's narrated by a Hamlin advocate you might have heard of, the singer Natalie Imbruglia.
Hi, I'm Natalie Imbruglia and I have a very important message to share with you, and one that I hold dear to my heart. Right now, significant numbers of women and adolescent girls across the world are enduring lives of misery, shunned by their husbands and families because of a largely treatable condition, obstetric fistula. Obstetric fistula is an injury to a woman's body during a difficult, long labour, which often lasts many days, and where an emergency caesarean section is delayed or simply not possible. The injury is disfiguring, it's devastating, and it's life-shattering. As well as causing a fistula, the prolonged labour also tragically leads to a stillborn baby in more than 90% of cases. A fistula can cause women and girls to become incontinent and to leak urine and fecal matter uncontrollably. The unrelenting odour stemming from this condition frequently causes affected women to be abandoned by their husbands and exiled from their communities. Condemned by their society as unclean, many suffer the misery of fistula with virtually no chance of companionship or support. In Ethiopia, a shy girl named Tegest, married, became pregnant, and endured labour for 5 full days. Her baby did not survive. During the labour, she developed a fistula, and her husband left her, unable to endure the smell that her medical condition had caused. There are an estimated 2 million women like Tegest, young and older, whose bodies have been injured by difficult deliveries. Fistula isn't a condition you may want to think of or talk about, but unless we all agree to do something about it, these women will continue to be invisible, with no hope at all. Here's the good news. Preventing and correcting fistula is in most cases possible. The condition is almost entirely preventable when women have access to reproductive health care and supplies, voluntary family planning, skilled birth attendants, and emergency obstetric care when complications arise. And for the women presently suffering with fistula, a surgical operation, one that costs just $400 per patient, can in most cases treat the injury and restore a woman's continence and dignity. Just $10 will help feed a recovering fistula patient for 2 weeks, and $60 pays for a caesarean section to prevent the problem. Sadly, most women with a fistula don't know that restoring their bodies, their lives, and their dignity might be just one medical procedure away. Those who do know are often simply not able to afford the surgery.
Thank you to UNFPA for producing that video, which highlights just some of the many challenges and difficulties women with fistula face around the world. Just to note that this video was produced a few years ago and some of those costs quoted at the end are not up to date. We are going to share some more recent figures with you a bit later in this webinar. So I joined the Hamlin team in 2020 and I've been so honoured to be part of this amazing organisation and the life-changing work it delivers for women. Over the past 4 years, I'm delighted to have had the opportunity to visit some of our hospitals in Ethiopia and meet staff and patients, seeing firsthand the difference your support makes. I'm excited about the conversation we're going to have today and to introduce you to the really special guests that are going to be joining me. So just to share the format then for today's event, it's going to include a special keynote introduction from our patron, Baroness Tessa Blackstone, whom we're honoured to welcome. We'll then listen to a patient tell her story before we have a conversation exploring Hamlin's impact in Ethiopia over the past year and our exciting plans for the year ahead. For this conversation, I'm delighted to be joined by Hamlin Fistula UK trustee Haweti Haile Selassie and Project Zero manager Hanna Tesfaye, who joins us live from Ethiopia to share her stories and answer your questions. We're going to be speaking for about 30 minutes, and that's going to include some time for questions at the end. Thanks to all of you who have submitted their questions in advance. If you haven't already done that, it's not too late. You can still do so by clicking in the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and typing your questions into the box that appears. So now, without further ado, I'm delighted to hand over to Baroness Tessa Blackstone for her keynote speech. Tessa.
Thank you very much, Helen. I'm absolutely delighted to be here in my role as patron to celebrate and support the extraordinary work that is done by the Hamlin Foundation to improve outcomes for young women and sometimes older women, but very often very young women in Ethiopia through their pregnancy and childbirth. Although the NHS faces challenges here in the UK, we are all very familiar with them and aware of that. If you're in a poor developing country like Ethiopia, public health services are neither free nor are they available in the places where many people need them. So I think it is very important for us to remember that when we're thinking about what we might do to help people in Ethiopia, to help women in particular. The results of people having to make decisions they should never have to. Do I spend time collecting my water, tending my farm, cooking to feed my family, or do I leave them to spend all my family's money to travel for 3 days to get to a prenatal appointment in a faraway health centre? These are difficult decisions for women to take. That's why the work of non-profit organisations like the Hamlin Fistula Ethiopia charity is so important, and why I'm terribly proud to be a patron of this organisation. Hamlin is making a very important contribution to improving mental health service in Ethiopia, working closely with the Ministry of Health there, and changing women's lives every year. I've been very lucky because I've been able to visit the Hamlin Fistula Hospital in Addis Ababa more than once. Once when I was doing a lot of work for VSO there, and on another occasion, slightly more recently, as a member of the all-party parliamentary group on population development and reproductive health. So I've seen at first hand the really devastating effect that fistula can have on a woman's life, the terrible pain and suffering it causes, and its long-term effects, not just on the women themselves, but on their families and their communities. The positive impact of Hamlin fistula's treatment, both on prevention, and I think we mustn't forget about prevention because this is a preventable condition, but also on those who have been unfortunate enough to suffer fistula. This work is only possible because of the support that many people in the room who are taking part in this webinar have given, and to others. And I would really like to thank all of you for what you've done. I know that we've got current supporters in the audience today, but I think some of you may be new to Hamlin, and I very much hope that you will be able to support the charity. If you are, you will actually be making a huge difference to the lives of women who, for many, many years, have been sufferers of fistula. We need to wipe it out, and we need to make the lives of women in Ethiopia hugely better as a result of destroying it. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Tessa. We really appreciate everything you do as patron to support our work. So I'm now delighted to welcome our two panelists for today's conversation, Haweti and Hanna. Welcome to you both. We're really glad to have you with us today. Thank you for taking the time out to join us. I'd like you to please introduce yourselves, if you could, and just talk a bit about your roles with Hamlin. Hanna, would you be able to start, please?
Okay, thank you, Helen. My name is Hanna Tesfaye. I am a midwife and I have a master's in public health. I have about 8 years experience in clinical leadership and academics in different settings, including resource limited health center, hospital, and university, and now Hamlin Fistula, Ethiopia. I joined Hamlin Fistula, Ethiopia in 2012 as a midwife student. And while I was there, I had an opportunity to meet Dr. Catherine Hamlin in person and was highly impacted by her contagious passion and still being driven by it. And after the graduation, I was deployed to one of the rural health centers in Ethiopia as a midwife, where I made a significant impact in the service quality regarding maternal and child health care service, working both as a midwife and head of maternal and child health unit. And then I transferred to the hospital to work as a midwife in OB and gynae ward. And then after, I had the opportunity to join to Metu University as a lecturer. I was lecturing in the midwifery department, and besides that, I was working as a gender, youth, and special needs coordinator for the health science college there, and also working as a member of academic committee in the university. I have been participating in the different committees in the community services there. Then now I'm back to Hamlin Fistula, Ethiopia, where my heart is, and working on Project Zero here. Yeah, this is all about me.
Wow, thank you. What amazing experience. It's brilliant to have you here, and we're going to look forward to hearing all about your work. Haweti, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Haweti Haile Selassie. I've been a trustee with Hamlin Fistula UK for almost exactly 2 years now, since 2022. Prior to that, I had been a supporter for well over a decade. I too had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Catherine Hamlin around 2008, 2009. I invited her to the BBC World Service, where I worked at the time, and I worked until just last year, to come in and do an interview about her work. We brought her in for a 5-minute spot and ended up recording, I think, 45 minutes and doing a full-length documentary called African Perspectives on her amazing life. And I became a supporter then. And as you will have gathered from that, I'm basically a journalist who spent 15, 16 years at the BBC. I'm very passionate about telling stories, and especially marginalised stories.
Thank you. Thanks, Haweti. So we wanted to start off the conversation today by talking about the problem of fistula around the world. So as we know, it's virtually non-existent in Europe and North America, thanks to access to healthcare. But it's estimated that around 500,000 women across 60 countries in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia are living with untreated fistula. Haweti, I was hoping you could share with us some of the common threads seen among women affected by fistula around the world.
Absolutely. I think the key things to take away are that, it tends to be the marginalized, it tends to be the people who are living in economic hardship, and with the common thread of being poor, of being rural, and being female. And that's often compounded by, for example, having poor access to nutrition through key growth stages, which can leave you slightly smaller with a slightly lower BMI, which then can make you more vulnerable to developing a fistula when you give birth. And also in some cases that can be further more likely if you get married or conceive earlier in life than perhaps in other parts of the world, so under 18 or thereabouts. Those are all kind of contributing factors. But I think the main thing is also access to good healthcare. So when you're delivering at home with the support of either family members or traditional birth attendants. And then if things get tricky, you're not making it to getting support within a couple of hours, which would be the ideal. Obviously, Hanna knows a lot more about that, and that was alluded to in the video we saw earlier. But it is those combination of effects that leads women to sadly suffer from fistula injuries.
And Hanna, you've got a lot of experience working in the field. Is that the sort of situation that you see women facing?
Yes, and that is the case in our settings. Especially women suffered from obstetric fistula are mostly from rural areas and from their socioeconomic background. They are very poor. They are malnourished. They are not educated, and most of them, the thing is, they don't have the awareness that the obstetric fistula is a disease or it can be curable. And what I observed in the community is most of them lack the awareness, and they think that it's like a curse or God punished me and so on. That's what they tell you when you ask, why didn't you seek the medical care or something? So yeah, this is what I observed in the community because of the poor their situation, their limited access to maternal health care service, being malnourished, being not aware about the cases. Yeah, this is what I observed in the community.
Right. And could you just talk to us a bit about the number of women that are affected by fistula, and also the other childbirth injuries that Hamlin focuses on?
Yeah, in Ethiopia, obstetric fistula is a public health problem, and that nearly 1,000 new cases occurs yearly and affects women, particularly those living in rural areas, as I said. And Hamlin also focused on addressing other childbirth injuries that affect women in this region, like uterine prolapse, other genitalia trauma, tear, perineal tear, incontinence regarding with the related with the childbirth, and so on.
And you mentioned prolapse there. Could you just tell us a little bit more about prolapse?
Yeah, uterine prolapse is one of the major public health problem in Ethiopia. It is like it happens when the pelvic floor muscle and ligaments are weakened and loosened because of different factors and descended to the vagina, and which is very feel discomfort for a woman and which impacts her day-to-day life. There are different factors, special. It can be advanced maternal age, the lifestyle, the workload, and having multiparas. We know that women living in rural areas lack access to maternal health care, which include a family planning. So yeah, these are some of the factors that contribute for pelvic organ prolapse.
And we do have pelvic organ prolapse here in the UK, but I understand that in Ethiopia it tends to be, it's a much more serious problem because it presents much later. Women don't always seek help, and then that can cause a lot of complications, and then they don't always get the right help when they do come forward. Is that what you see?
Yes, that's true. Because in Ethiopia, one is the financial, even if they know that they have to seek health care, they don't have the ability to go there and to be treated because of their financial status. And the other thing, here in Ethiopia, they feel like it's a shame because they don't want to talk out that they have these kinds of problems. So that they feel like it's not right to talk that they have this kind of problem, and it affects their day-to-day activity.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah, that's the problem.
it shares advanced pelvic organ prolapse shares that with fistula in that sort of shame, and it can cause similar social problems. So there's some parallels with fistula. And in terms of fistula, then, are there three of the most important things that we should know about fistula? What are the top three things that we should know about it?
Yeah, in my opinion, the top three things that we should know about obstetric fistula is like the first thing is the cause and the risk factors of obstetric fistula. What are the causes of obstetric fistula and what are the risk factors? And the second one is the impact that the obstetric fistula, the impact on women's health and well-being. And the third one is that it can be prevented and it can be treatable. So when we say the cause and the risk factors, we know that obstetric fistula is caused by prolonged obstructed labor without timely medical intervention. And the risk factors have been mentioned previously, like limited access to maternal health care, malnutrition, early marriage, early childbirth, limited education. There are a lot of risk factors. And the impact on women's health and well-being, as we have seen also in the videos, women who face incontinence is shunned, even shunned by their families and the community because of the odor or the foul smelling that's related with the incontinence. So it's not just the problem is just not with the incontinence. So it's have a physical problem, psychological problem, financial, social problem. So she may not be participating in the community as well. So, and the other thing that we have to know is it is preventable and it can be cured. So, yeah.
Thank you. So we're now going to highlight those challenges by watching a short video from a Hamlin patient, Azkadesh, who's going to talk firsthand about her experience of fistula.
Asagari cebabé bakkan sakka cakofsa. Jireenya koo wadaana tadhaa jennaani. Egaa abdiin qaba qeetu mani jibbaadha jedheen ka'e. Achi na fayyee Waaqayyo galatu. Waggaa 20 taa'e. Waggaa 20 sana bakka mana namaan naqu eessayyuu naqu mana taa'u bichaadha. Majammara bultii 14 ciniifadhee na dhiisee ka'ee ammoo natti deebi'ee bultii sadii ni du'aa wajjin taa'e. Sanaan booda egaa du'aa garaana baay'inaan nan bakka sabee dhufe. Macarrashaa jara shabeen na dabarsee jimmatti. Jara shabeet Addis Ababaatti na dabarsee. Achirraa nan dinnaan immoo galee jimmaan naqee jimme immoo mattu Addis Ababaatti na fidan obbolaassedha. Achi na fayye jechuudha. Tajaajila 5,000 fudhadhe ji'a tokko taa'e. Cinan gargaaramee jira. Asa ammaa fayyeeraa waa tokko eessayyuu nan naqaama. Galata isaanii. Galata baay'ee galata doktoraa. Isaanii wanta ergaa dabarsumoo Rabbi isaan haa eebbisu hin jedha kaan. Na fayyibatanii waa meeqa keessa na dabarsanii har'ammoo isaan haa eebbisu hin jedha kaan.
It was devastating to see what Azkadesh faced, but luckily help was at hand. Aweti, can you tell us a bit about where Hamlin is delivering services for women like Azkadesh?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think we'll be seeing a map shortly, but the hospitals I think there are 6 hospitals that have been built outside of Addis since 2007, and they are kind of in key regions. So they're in the north near the border with Eritrea, in Tigray, in Mekelle. And as many of you know, Mekelle is a region that's recovering from conflict. There was a war going on over the last few years. the Bahar Dar Hospital, which is Ethiopia's second largest city, the capital of the Amhara region, Harar to the east, Metu to the west, and then the south in the Sidama region. They all have specialist surgeons based at them. I think Hanna can tell us where we have female surgeons, which is quite special. And we really just generally have a good coverage so that when the outreach happens, people can most usually get treatment at a hospital that is nearer to them than having to travel to the capital, Addis Ababa.
And are they mostly quite rural areas where the hospitals are?
I couldn't. No, I mean Magale, Bahar Dar, Harar are, big regional centres. They're small towns within Ethiopia. Yirgalem, I would say, is a smaller town, and Metu, I would defer to Hanna on that as to how big, but it's certainly not a village and it's certainly not rural.
Right.
So these are kind of, market towns where you would go and get stuff done in those regions.
And you visited the Addis Ababa Fistula Hospital yourself last year. Can you tell us a bit about what the visit was like?
I found it incredibly moving. Obviously, as I said, I've followed the work of Hamlin Fistula since 2008, 2009, and read Dr. Catherine Hamlin's books. I found it a really beautiful and wonderful place. I was particularly struck by how it doesn't feel like a hospital. I know the Hamlins were really keen that it didn't smell like a hospital, have that kind of bleached, kind of sterile feeling of a hospital, and it really didn't. It's the only hospital anywhere in the world that I've visited that didn't smell distinctly as a hospital. Very clean, very homely, very welcoming. And I think what really shone through for me was the kind of holistic care that Hamlin hospitals take care of their patients. It's not just about having the surgery and being cured of fistula. It's also about regaining your life. You've been shunned, you've been put away, you smelt bad, people weren't kind of wanting to get close to you. And there's a real kind of whole person approach to being healed, recuperating, good, healthy, nutritious food being made, and also people leaving with clean clothes, colourful blankets that are knitted by our supporters, and going away with an idea for a business or how you're going to continue your life. And that restoration of hope, I think, was particularly moving. And it's just in a lovely setting with lots of trees and fresh air and flowers. And it's just a really lovely place.
Thanks for sharing that, Haweti. So I think we've got some figures here highlighting the number of surgeries that we're going to be supporting in the coming year across our hospitals. So we're going to be delivering over 4,000 surgeries for women this year, and that's going to include over 1,500 fistula surgeries, over 2,000 advanced prolapse surgeries as well. And the cost of a fistula surgery now is around £760. That includes the cost, it's a straightforward fistula repair. It includes the woman's stay in hospital, the nutritious meals she receives, the physiotherapy, counselling, and basic literacy and numeracy training. We also at Hamlin welcome surgeons from around the world for training with our partnership with the Federation of International Obstetricians and Gynecologists. There you can see a happy picture of our recent training that we delivered in February with surgeons from across Africa and South Asia, celebrating 20,000 surgeries between them. I think that really highlights how our work ripples across the world. Haweti touched just now on that holistic care, and of course our work goes beyond the life-changing surgeries. So I was hoping, Hanna, you could talk to us a bit more about the Hamlin model of care.
Yeah, when we talk about the Hamlin model of care, there is a saying that Dr. Catherine said before: we don't treat the hole in the bladder, we treat the whole person. So yeah, Hamlin Fistula Ethiopia has three main pillars, which is the prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and reintegration. So in these three pillars, the Hamlin model of care is grounded on respectful and compassionate care for the women who come for the treatment in the hospital, starting from welcoming, giving a colorful blanket for the patients, the women, and also providing surgeries by our amazing surgeons in the hospital. and also giving the psychological support, counseling, and even physiotherapy in the hospital, so that they might be nerve damage during the prolonged labor and obstructed labor. And nutrition, they provide a good nutritious foods for them to process, to fasten the healing process. And also they do vocational training to develop their numeracy and literacy skill, and training on handicrafts and reintegration support, both financially and other women empowerment activities, especially in the Stamander, so that they, after they healed, they gave back to their community with good financial support and reintegrate in the community. And these all things are for free. So these are all about Hamlin model of care that should be replicable in other settings as well.
Thank you. And we also, of course, have the Hamlin College of Midwives, which you attended yourself. Could you tell us a bit more about the College of Midwives and then where the midwives go on to after they finish their training?
Yeah, Hamlin College of Midwife is one of the best midwifery college in Ethiopia. And yeah, I'm very proud to be Hamlin midwife because it's quality education is provided there. And when you go out, you are capable, you are autonomous midwife to do in resource limiting health centers. So after 4-year class, after the graduation, they deployed to rural health centers, and that health center become a partner health center for Hamlin Fistula. So when the health center is becoming a partner health center, medical equipment and other emergency drugs and other things will be provided, and midwives also be mentored with the Hamlin mentors there. So they will stay there to help the women and their babies.
Thank you. It's really amazing to hear how the work of Dr. Hamlin has developed. I know her dream was to have a midwife in every village, so it's wonderful to hear about that. Last year, we introduced a groundbreaking new programme, and Hannah, you're the manager of Project Zero. Would you be able to talk to us about that project?
Yeah, Project Zero is a district-based intervention. We know that to eliminate or eradicate obstetric fistula, there are a lot of efforts have been made so far by UNFPA, by HFE, by the Ministry of Health, and so on. But still, obstetric fistula patients, women are suffering with obstetric fistula out there. So it needs a new initiative to address those women, to help them and to prevent obstetric fistula. So it is a district-based intervention that involves both the treatment and the prevention activities. So we had our pilot project in Ale district, and we take a lesson from that. And now we are rolling out in other rural districts of Ethiopia and planning to roll out in the future many more. So the main objective of this project is to find and treat all obstetric fistula in the community, and also to improve the maternal health care system in that specific district. So to achieve these objectives, there are many activities. So the activities that we use to achieve this objective, we establish a team in that specific districts. The teams that contain midwife mentors, patient identification officer, team leader, and also monitoring and evaluation officer. So what we do is, the first thing, we raise awareness in the community by using different leaflets, wearing t-shirt in marketplaces, in school, and in different community gatherings. So using speaker and other activity, and give training for healthcare providers and community leaders, religious leaders, and other political leaders in the community about obstetric fistula and other birth injuries, including utilization of maternal health care service. So we do the awareness raising, we mobilize the community to improve the maternal health care. We work with health development armies and health extension workers. So the work is at a grassroots level. And the other thing is we support the district to improve the maternal health care system. What we do here is we have a Hamlin standard checklist. So the checklist contains about the management, the skill, the medical or other equipments in the health center to make it welcoming for a woman to have an antenatal follow-up, to give birth there, and also to have the family planning services and so on. So we ensure that if there is a quality maternal health care service in the Warada. So after assessing based on the Hamlin standard checklist, we identified the gaps and we give feedback for healthcare providers and the district health office head and the stakeholders, so that we work together to fill those gaps by giving mentorship for healthcare providers, by providing necessary, especially basic equipments for the health center and so on. So this is how we are going to do to improve the maternal health care service in the district. And the other thing, we find and treat all obstetric fistula cases by doing a door-to-door activity. Because in order to say zero, we have to find all obstetric fistula cases found in that district. So we have to do a door-to-door survey so that we will find hidden obstetric fistula cases and try to help them to be treated to the nearby fistula center, to the hospitals. And also, in order to prevent further incidents of obstetric fistula, simultaneously, we work on the improvement of maternal health care service. So while we do the house-to-house survey, we also do that we also identify a pregnant mother. If there is a pregnant mother in the house, we help them link to the health center so that she has an NC follow-up, she gives birth to the health center, and so on. So that's what we are doing currently in Project Zero. And this intervention is designed to be carried out over 3 to 4 years. So the first phase is with the team working intensively in the Warada, in the district. And the second phase is the second and third year, which is ongoing support. It can be mentorship or medical equipment support or other necessary supports, because when we finish the first phase, we do the final assessment based on that checklist, so that we will ensure the sustainability, to maintain the sustainability and the improvements that we made in the first phase. And the third phase is the handover phase, so that within the 4 years, what we expect is there is no one in the Warada suffering from obstetric fistula, so that the backlog is cleared. And in case if there is a new case is occurred, community is already aware that it can be cured. They know where to go, and it can be preventable. They know how to prevent. They have to give birth in the health centers. The pregnant mother have to have an NC follow-up and so on. So by the 4th year, we will hand over every activities that we did for the owners, for the healthcare providers, or for the administrator of the Warada. So that's what we are doing currently through Project Zero. And I think it is a way to meet our goal, which is elimination of obstetric fistula. At least we declare that this district is free from obstetric fistula by the 4th year.
Wow, it's just an inspirational program, and we can't wait to see where it goes over the coming years. Thank you for telling us all about it. We're now just going to watch a final short film which we made earlier this year. It brings together lots of what we've talked about, and there's a final note from our CEO in Ethiopia, Tesfaye Mamo, and then we'll just see if we've got time for 1 or 2 questions.
Hello, I'm Helen Marriott, CEO of Hamlin Fistula UK, and on behalf of all the team here in the UK, I want to thank you for everything that you have done in the past year to support the work of Hamlin Fistula Ethiopia. Last year, in 2023, Project Zero was launched. This groundbreaking new programme will accelerate the eradication of obstetric fistula in Ethiopia. The pilot in Ali Warada in southeastern Ethiopia was concluded in October, and from the learnings of this pilot, we plan to roll out Project Zero across 3 more Waradas in the first half of 2024.
our world-class surgeons and clinical teams have continued to increase the surgeries performed in Hamlin's regional fistula hospitals. With your support, more women have been treated to correct fistula injuries and are being found by Hamlin's patient identification officers and brought to hospitals for surgery. We are absolutely focused on providing life-saving surgery, and our talented group of surgeons are working to increase the number of women each month that they treat. As well, the Hamlin College of Midwives is undergoing a major expansion to accommodate the increasing number of students in both the bachelor's and master's programmes. Over 256 Hamlin midwives have now graduated from the college and are placed in rural areas across Ethiopia where they are saving maternal lives and preventing fistulas. We look forward to welcoming a new intake of 25 students later in January. In other good news, 225 former fistula patients were graduated from the Women's Empowerment Programme at Destemenda this year. This unique programme gives women the confidence and skills to return home to their villages and to have opportunities and choices that they would never have had before. You, our loyal supporters, have continued to prioritise the well-being of Ethiopia's most vulnerable women. There are so many ways that you have generously given your support to women. We look forward to another hard-working but exciting year in 2024. The hospitals across Ethiopia will focus even more on transforming women's lives and progressing eradication of obstetric fistula in Ethiopia. We can't thank you enough for everything that you do to help the women of Ethiopia.
Thank you for your help this year. Because of your support, we were able to come closer to the realization of the dreams of Catherine, which has been the elimination of obstetric fistula from Ethiopia. We want your support to continue because in February this year, we have launched Project Zero, which has aimed to eliminate obstetric fistula district by district. And because of your continued support, we will be able to achieve this in the next few years. Thank you.
So I think we just have time for one question. Thanks to everyone who sent in questions. I'm sorry we're not able to answer them all. But we have this one from John. How does Hamlin both care for women, but also help educate men? What is done to raise awareness among men? Hanna, I wonder if you could just give a very brief answer to that. How do we raise awareness among men?
Yeah, to raise awareness among men in the community, we even include men's while we raise awareness, and there are male healthcare providers that give the service for the women in the community. So yeah, Hamlin also works. There are patient identification officers who are males in our organization. So yeah, we work with them, and males are there are supportive males in the community who wants to help and work with us.
Great, thank you. I think, Haweti, you had some words from Catherine you wanted to share.
Absolutely. I want to thank everyone for watching today and for all of your support, without which we couldn't do any of this amazing work. And I just wanted to wrap up with some words from our founder, Dr. Catherine Hamlin. My dream is to end obstetric fistula forever. I won't do this in my lifetime, but you can in yours. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great note to end the webinar on. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. If you're thinking, what can I do to help, and you want to get involved, just on the screen now, here are 3 ways which I think Hannah's going to talk us through.
Yes. Become a Hamlin donor and empower women every day by visiting our website, by donating on our website. Sign up to receive Hamlin news at our website and follow us on social media.
Thank you, Hanna, Haweti and Baroness Blackstone for joining us today. And thanks to everyone who watched. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.